Umar Garbai El-Kanimi, CFR, the Shehu of Borno, the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of Council, Professor Dr. Wale Babalakin, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, OFR, the Vice Chancellor of this university, Professor Olaotun Ogundipe, FAS, as well as the principal officers and members of council of this great university, the Registrar of JAM, Professor Isaac Oleyede, and all visiting vice chancellors and chief executive officers of associated tertiary institutions, Your Royal Majesty, the Oni of Ife and the Chancellor of the University of Nigeria in Nsukka, Your Excellency, the Ambassador of Finland to Nigeria and other members of the Diplomatic Corps, the newly inaugurated Emeritus Professor and distinguished professors, visiting dignitaries, members of the university community, proud graduates and their parents or guardians, ladies and gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am here in this capacity to represent the visitor to the University of Lagos, and I stand to read his address. And the address, the address I read is not mine, it's that of the visitor. I consider it a great honor and privilege to present this address at the 2016-2017 Convocation ceremony of the University of Lagos. Convocations are special moments in the life of universities when students who have successfully completed the rigors of academic pursuit in their respective disciplines are awarded the university's degrees, diplomas, or certificates. Depending on the academic programs of training, the graduating students in the last 2 days or 3 days must have spent anything from 4 to 6 years as undergraduate students. On the other hand, the graduates of today, having completed their undergraduate studies earlier, return to this university to improve themselves through postgraduate training and have today added new feathers to their caps. The success story being told here has been made possible by the efforts of the staff of the University of Lagos, the graduating students, parents and guardians, government and other stakeholders. I must therefore congratulate the Chancellor and the Convocation, the Pro-Chancellor and the Governing Council, the Vice-Chancellor and the Senate, as well as the staff, students and parents for this great achievement. Ultimately, our thanks and appreciation must go to the God Almighty for the breath of life and the wherewithal for these exploits, and for seeing us through the ups and downs of the journey that has culminated in today's celebration. It is practically impossible to tell the history and development of university education in Nigeria without recalling the milestone of the establishment of the University of Lagos in 1962 as one of the first generation universities in this country. I therefore pay special tribute to the founding fathers for their wisdom and ingenuity in establishing this great institution, and also appreciate the effort of the individuals, including the host community, the good people of Lagos State, who have played one role or the other in the sustenance of the vision of the founding fathers. In particular, I am happy to note that the Governor of Lagos State, His Excellency Chief Akinwumi Ambode, was kind enough to deliver this year's Convocation lecture, a clear demonstration of a close working relationship between the state government and the federal university in the state. I commend the governor, the government, and the industrious people of Lagos for their support to the University of Lagos and for their impressive record in and educational development of the state. Your Excellencies, Your Highnesses, education is a key factor in economic development of any country in the 21st century. With the advent of knowledge economy, educational competences rather than natural resources drive national development. Both the developed and the developing countries strive to mobilize education as a key engine of growth and development. In Nigeria, the importance of education in national development has been initiated in the National Policy on Education and adequately captured in the Ministerial Strategic Plan for Education. International documents like the EFA and MDGs, as well as the SDGs, have also stressed the important roles of education in human development. Human capital development is essential to the attainment of the goals of the various national and international initiatives, and universities Thank you. I'm working. Yes. And universities have critical roles to play in the development of the critical mass of manpower that drives various national economies. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Nigeria today has 164 universities, comprising of 42 federal universities, including the Great University of Lagos, 47 state-owned universities, and 75 private universities, including the one approved just 2 days ago. With this number, vis-à-vis the expectations on them by all stakeholders, it is increasingly becoming imperative to reposition Nigerian universities to meet the goals and aspirations behind their existence. The governing councils and university managements occupy the front line in the achievement of these aspirations for Nigerian universities and indeed for Nigerians. Government is well aware of the numerous challenges facing university education in our country. Critical among issues that require urgent attention are those relating to access without compromising quality, the issue of infrastructure and facilities, curriculum development or re-engineering, quality assurance, governance and funding, to mention just a few. My administration will continue to ensure the periodic review of Nigerian university curriculum to meet national needs and be relevant to global demands. Your Excellencies, my lords, spiritual and temporal, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is worrisome that some Nigerian universities are still not demonstrating adequate capacity for fund utilization, despite the need and justified clamor for increased funding of our higher education institutions. I am made to understand that some universities still find it difficult to access funds from Tertiary Education Trust Fund because they have not shown commitment to meeting the requirements for the release of such funds. In the same vein, there are hiccups with the utilization of the needs assessment funds for the revitalization of Nigerian universities because some universities have not been able to meet the requirements for further releases of funds. I therefore implore Pro-Chancellors and Vice-Chancellors of Nigerian universities, or to be more precise, of Nigerian public universities, to take advantage of these initiatives to enable Nigerian universities to efficiently and effectively meet up with their teaching, research, and community development mandates. Nevertheless, government will continue to make efforts to provide the needed funds required to run our universities effectively. Funding is not just about making funds available to universities. It also includes the judicious management of available funds. As public officers charged with the responsibility of managing higher education institutions, we must be accountable to the good people of Nigeria who have reposed their confidence in us to manage the country's status of higher learning. The progress every forward-looking institution, whether public or private, requires are probity, transparency, and accountability.